Hello, Australia.
Yeah. Hi, Mark. Welcome from sunny. I won't tell you about the blue sky and the heat we've got outside, but
No, you know what I
but
like, I appreciate is you doing the sort of the network TV thing when they always call like a reporter who's in the field and they go, "Hello, Dan. Hello." I like that you did that. That was very good. It was a good fake out. Very good. Thank God. I don't know why the networks don't use Zoom. It's like you're sitting in the
yeah,
room next to me.
yeah.
Anyways,
No,
you're
it's
sitting
good.
in you're sitting in Melbourne, Australia, and we are not in Melbourne, Australia, and it is just about freezing here, and it's 30 degrees there.
Yeah, 30 degrees, 88 Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
Whatever weather language you talk in
exactly. Sucks to be
Canada.
you. Sucks to be you. Oh my God. Now, I want to, if folks don't know who the heck you are, if they didn't watch the last show, we just did a show a little while ago about on the very last day when the electoral college was counting up the votes and ratified that Joe Biden's the next president. You and I did a show on trust and Trump, and you are the expert because you are one of the practice leaders at Mext Consulting, an agency that's all about figuring out how to rapidly accelerate and establish trust for brands and people and organizations. Now, I talked to Stefan, who's the founder of the company, earlier, and he talked about the 6 buckets of trust, which we're not going to talk about now. We've talked about that too
Yeah.
many times. It's going to make it look like I'm on the payroll. But Stefan is boring and he doesn't have a very good accent. You've got a way better accent. And you're really interesting. And the show on Trump was awesome. I had to have you back. Welcome back.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, it's good to be back.
Now, today we're going to talk about something.
It's good to look at your I was going to say it's good to see your Roy Orbison picture again.
Yeah.
I like it.
Flying the flag, man. Flying the flag. We talked about trust and charities in the last show. We just brought it up. And I said, I want to bring you back to dig into trust and charities. Now, the reason is obviously the world is imploding, economic meltdown, a lot of people in strife and feeling really bad and losing their shirts and their houses, and COVID ravaging the world. Charities are more needed now than ever, but I know that charities, at least in North America, are having a very hard time. You and I have approached charities together and we get an open door. They're very, very open to stuff. And I know that in Brand DIY, there's about 6 charities represented just here in this group. So this is something that needs to be talked about. And we talked about the 6 buckets of trust before, but in the charity model, you've got 4 quadrants that I want to talk about, which I think blow the entire way of charity marketing out of the water. Let's talk about that.
Sure. So, I mean, the way I would characterize it, we've been doing research on charities for about 15 years. So what we've seen over that period is what I would describe as a demise of altruism. So initially, it was easy for charities to appeal on the basis of playing the violin, the idea that you can actually pull on people's heartstrings, you can rely on their desire to be valuable members of society and social caretake, and do the right thing. Things have shifted. It's become much more focused around the idea of, I want to know what I'm going to get out of it, and I want to know exactly the value that's going to be delivered to me. And I think there's some really significant things that have happened in that time. The ice bucket challenge. Mm-hmm. I think lots of people participated in that, not actually really knowing what the cause was, but really enjoying being part of it. So it's kind of like a simple way of viewing the start of that shift. And it's only just got more extreme, I would say. So if I was in a charity, I'd be needing to think about, it's all very well thinking that people give because it's part of being a good citizen, but they really need to reorient their thinking and think about, what do people want to get out of their giving themselves. So you mentioned the 4 quadrants before. So I think the best way to start is to think about that, and then think about, if you're in a charity, think about where your pitch sits in those 4 quadrants, and and really ask yourself the question: am I really pitching myself in the right way to actually maximize the donor giving that I want to get out of it? So if the way I quickly describe it is that we use psychological models to build out the needs and motivations that people have for giving to charity. The simplest way to look at it is the 4 quadrants. And on the, I always visualize it in my mind. So I have to think about the left-hand side of the model. So the left-hand side of the model is all about this idea of giving for regressive reasons. So it's imagining that you have a kind of childlike view of giving, that you want to do it for altruistic reasons. You want to care for people, you want to nurture. The way that we look at it is that we try to link it to faces. So the face that we always link that part of giving to is Princess Diana. She kind of embodies that idea of belonging and nurturing. And this is why she embraced people that had AIDS. I was recently watching The Crown. Do they show that on Netflix in Canada?
Yeah.
So one of the showpiece.
She hugs the little kid who won't be adopted because,
That's right.
It was massive.
Yeah. So she just instinctively did that, and that kind of summarizes, charity in the 80s, I think. It was all about this idea of seeing people suffering and wanting to relieve them of that suffering. So, she just instinctively knew that the right thing to do was to hug that kid in Harlem and make sure that people knew that it was okay and that she was going to take care of them. So that's kind of one end of it. The opposite end of that particular part of our model is this idea of actually, I understand that's important, but really what I want to know is a more expansionary thing. I want to give money because I want to understand how it's going to get invested. I want to know exactly what the return is going to be. I have this ideal future state in mind. So the kind of giving that is going on there is embodied by people like Bill Gates. So Bill Gates is not going to chuck money into causes that are bottomless pits of giving. He wants to actually change the world, shape the future, invest in a better outcome. So, he wants to eradicate malaria from the planet. He wants to make sure that people have clean water. So he embodies those kind of needs that are on the opposite end of that particular axis to Princess Diana.
Now, with Princess Di, I also think, her throwing her arms around the AIDS kid in Harlem, it's a very one-on-one thing, right? It's very intimate. With Bill Gates, I have a feeling like he's take no prisoners kind of approach. We're going to fix the world. That's not exactly throwing your arms around a little kid. That's like, screw anybody who stands in our way. We're going to fix the world. I have the oomph. I know everybody. I've got the money. I can eradicate malaria. And that's like a huge versus a very intimate, big versus personal.
That's right. Yeah, it's like, for Diana, it's I want to make a difference in, Mark's life and Dan's life, etc. You never hear Bill Gates talk about the stories.
No.
He never talks about, he met Mark and he did this and he did that. He never talks in that way. He talks at a completely different level. So what I think charities have to understand is that different people have different needs. And it's not always about the Princess Di. There are people that want to give money because they want to contribute to something that will shape a better future for many people, not for one person. So it's a good point to make.
But now we go to the top and bottom. We've done left and right.
Yeah, top and bottom. Yeah. So as I said at the start, these models are based on morphology. So it's this idea.
Morphology is thinking that shapes action, right?
That's right. I describe it as understanding the mind when it's making its mind up, is the way I would put it. So you sort of have to understand there are lots of different factors that influence someone. So you have to understand all of them. And from a charity point of view, you have to understand which of those actually drive donors to give money to you. So I don't think you could watch Diana, hugging someone with AIDS and not be touched by it. but is it going to drive people to give money? That's what you have to understand. You have to understand the value equation that's going on. So let's talk about the other axis, so the vertical one. So maybe I'll start talking at the bottom this time, and we'll go to the top. So the bottom is this idea of dedicating your life to giving. It's about giving something of yourself for the cause. It's about being having that level of commitment that it is part of you as a person. So the face that embodies this for us is Mother Teresa. You know, she embodies this idea of giving your life to the cause. So what we find with people that work in charities is that they often, because they're motivated by that to some extent, they think that people that will give to their cause will also be motivated by that same need. But generally they're not. I mean, if they were, they'd be working for the charity as well, I guess. You know, so they have to understand that that's the case. So what's the antithesis of Mother Teresa is really what you have to think about. So this is about giving, it's about seeking appreciation for yourself. It might be about delivering against your own goals and achieving something for you personally. So for us, the person that best feels this is Oprah Winfrey. You know, this idea of, you know, I get people on my show and everybody gets a car, or, you know, we're gonna help lots of people, but I'm gonna feel the appreciation from the giving myself. I'm running the show. You know, I love that everybody loves me because I'm doing it. And the reality is that many more of us these days are closer to Oprah than they are to Mother Teresa. So if you were thinking from a charity point of view and how to drive appeal, you have to be thinking about, you know, what's the individual version of Oprah that you need to be focusing on to deliver value. And, you know, it's not just about that appreciation. People want to organize and achieve. They want to feel the thrill of giving as well. So it's about capitalizing on those things as well when you're putting together your marketing messaging, or you're reshaping your brand, or, you know, the Christmas campaigns that you might be doing, or, you know, if you're a charity that's linked to religion or Christianity, you might already be thinking about what's going on for Easter. You know, so you have to be thinking about how you can connect these campaigns to what really drives people to give.
Now, what I find fascinating, you and I mean, we've been digging into this for a little while. We've talked to UNICEF, we're talking to World Vision, not World Vision, we talked to UNICEF, we're talking to Heart and Stroke, we've talked to a whole bunch of people. And you bring up this case study because you've worked with World Vision, that's why I dropped the name before. You worked with UNICEF, World Vision all around the world.
Yeah.
And yes, one of the things that I love about that story is the Christian evangelical story.
Yeah.
And so what they thought they were given for and what they were actually given for. Can you take us through that?
Yeah, so we so to give a bit of context to your brand DIY people, we work with World Vision in 40 different countries. We're currently doing a quantification of these types of needs that we're talking about now in 15 countries around the world as we speak. But one of my favorite stories about it is that when we talk to World Vision, it's obviously a Christian charity, and we're very respectful of that. It's, you know, it's a very worthy cause. They support a lot of children and communities around the world. But one of the most interesting things that happened is when we approached them and we talked to them about needs that drive giving, they kind of gave us the position that, you know, this is all well and good, but, you know, we're you know, with Christian evangelicals, they are very much committed to you know, giving out of their Christianity. So
and
it's
the goodness
all
of their
about
heart and selfless, negating the self. It's not about me. It's about
fulfilling my duty. Is basically the Mother Teresa thing. Fulfilling my duty as a Christian, and these are all, you know, I you know, I don't criticize those needs. They're very valid needs. But what we did is we actually applied the same quantification logic to understand the determining factors that drive Christian evangelicals to give money. And the reality is that Christian evangelicals are even more focused on the value exchange than the general population. So they actually want to feel the thrill of giving. They want to believe that they're organizing and achieving something great, and they're working with an organization that's creating and growing something fantastic. So they're actually no different to anyone else, and probably more extreme. And the caveat I put on it is that this isn't a criticism of evangelicals.
No,
it's just about understanding what drives people.
Yeah, to me, what I love about it, it's that I did a show this morning about understanding your consumers. And the reason I love working with consumers is that they're weird, and they all have their quirks. And once you try to figure out a quirk, then they come up with a new quirk, and that's what I love about it. That's what keeps me juiced up, man. And it's something where you go, I assume they're all giving because they want to be Mother Teresa and just give, never about me. Reality is they're human just like the rest of us.
That's right.
And
there's nothing wrong with being human.
Of course not. And it takes you by surprise, because your assumptions can be cutting you out of so much valuable giving and loyalty and recommendation to friends, because this is how evangelicals are. Well, no, you don't.
That's right.
That's what I love about this.
Yeah, I think isn't it Katharine Hepburn that said, the time to be certain about anyone is never. So I think you got to put your assumptions to the side, and let us help you understand what's really going on.
Yeah, totally. So listen, I know that this is a topic that we can go into forever. I love the 4 quadrants. I love the element of surprise. Having worked with charities like UNICEF for years, I worked with them a lot. I worked with Special Olympics, worked with a ton of charities. And we always came at it from the same way. We always came at it from, it's not about us, it's about giving to them. It's about negation of self, and always. And I'm so excited about this, and talking to, again, UNICEF, and talking to Heart and Stroke, and talking to other folks, because I just see an ability to blow this right out of the water. And I think entrepreneurs and folks in brand DIY who represent not-for-profits and values-driven companies, it's time to reevaluate, the way that you're approaching consumers. The way they act. No, you don't. It's time to give it a hard think. Now, to make this easy for folks, you're going to be sending me some information on Mext's book on professional services. We linked it in the last time that we talked together, but this is a book that's all about lawyers, accountants, notaries, consultants, and how you can quickly build up trust using the 6 buckets method that we talked about in the last show, and that I talked about with Stefan. But yeah, I'm gonna write up also the Mother Teresa thing, and I'll use one of your illustrations for that, because I think this is super valuable stuff.
Yeah. I think I'll give you one more example, Mark.
Yeah. Please.
In Australia, Australia went through this horrendous bushfire season at the start of 2020. This was before we even knew about COVID. So we've had a bit of a double whammy year. Charities were really involved in the recovery effort and raising money. The most beautiful example of why people want to be involved on the basis of thrill and what they're going to get out of it is that Celeste Barber, who was an Instagram celebrity, she raised more money than the Salvation Army and the Red Cross in Australia. So the fact that an Instagram star that's not really known for fundraising can raise money more money than traditional charities was a real eye-opener in Australia, and I'm sure it would be no different in North America as well.
No, but it's shocking.
It is. 50 million she raised. It's astonishing.
And you think about that, with how much overhead?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God. Oh man, yeah. No, this is the mother load. I can't wait for the folks at Brand DIY to dig into this stuff, because I think this is invaluable learning, because it goes to the core of what we all screw up, which is assuming that people are going to behave and believe one thing because that's what they do.
Yeah,
and we just don't know.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you so much for taking the time.
It's been a pleasure, Mark. Anytime.
Awesome. Talk to you.